If you thought part 2 was something, wait till you hear part 3.
1995.
I was just going to say, and for only $19.95, we'll throw in a nonstick pan. All right, we are live on YouTube.
Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. and you're here for the Ask Junior portion of the show, brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X5 is fast and reliable, and I'm a customer and enjoy using it, and I hope you guys will check it out. Xfinity does so much for not only this podcast, but the entire sport of NASCAR. We ought to support them. And they got Ed Helms on their commercials now. How about that?
That is awesome. I love Ed Helms.
So, we'd like to get him in the studio. Come on, Xfinity, help us out.
That's right.
Anyways, Hannah has your questions, and she's going to bring them to the table. Let's go, Hannah.
All right, this first one here comes from Caleb. Actually, a lot of the folks have kind of been talking about the Xfinity race this weekend at Portland. It said, Dale, do you think the Xfinity Series needs their own crown jewel race? Maybe something along the lines of a standalone when the Cup Series is off 400 miles or so with an extra big payday. Could be good for exposure, and I think this has a lot to do with the conversation we had where maybe we let the All-Star race, let the Xfinity guys race for $1 million instead one day.
Well, things like that can't really be manufactured, right? You can't just say this race is now a crown jewel. That either happens naturally from fan engagement, and if something's happening the fans love and can't get enough of, then you might say, well, maybe, man, this is the crown jewel of the Xfinity Series. I hate that slogan. I hate that word.
Mm-hmm. You hate crown jewel.
Crown jewel.
Well, you have a jewelry phobia.
Well, I do, but it also sounds like we've taken something from a different sport. It's like we've taken something from horse racing or something, right? Like the Triple Crown. Is there another sport out there that has something called the crown jewel, like the crown jewels?
I feel like there's got to be something else.
I don't know.
I have less of a problem with that and more of a problem with this is our Super Bowl of racing.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one I have a problem
Really?
with.
You don't like
just
that one?
completely hijacking football.
Yeah. Well, I think we used to say that because we didn't think we really had that big of a fan base, and we had to kind of give them an idea that this race, I know it's the first race, but this is the biggest race, if that makes any sense. But talking about the Daytona 500, but I hear you now. I mean, it's kind of redundant to keep on going with it. You don't hear it as much anymore. I think people agree with you, Mike. Anyways, so Portland seemed pretty cool. I didn't expect that to be too exciting, but ended up having some rain and all that, so that made it pretty interesting. Guys practicing, qualifying, all that in the weather. But I don't know what I'm more worried about. What is the Xfinity Series in a couple of years? I think that we got to all think about, man, what's the bigger concern, I think, is the identity of the series. As we've went to the next gen car, and the Truck Series is important to NASCAR because it's trucks, right? Manufacturers want to sell trucks, and so the Truck Series still matters to a Chevrolet or a Toyota, whereas the Xfinity Series doesn't have that identity or doesn't have that connection to the manufacturers, I don't think, as it once did. It never really did. It never really was. I mean, it was cool to get the Camaros and stuff and the muscle cars, back, but it never had that importance, like the trucks did, or like the Cup Series does in terms of the manufacturer support, and that's so important that it finds its identity going forward. What does it become, right? I'm a little worried about that because that's where we're at. That's where this company is. What is the Xfinity Series in 5 years? And that to me is going to be an interesting thing to find out. Does it become does it become like NASCAR's venture into electric cars? Does Xfinity go full electric? Is like a way for them to vet out all the bugs and problems with that before they take that to the Cup level? Are we going to have SUVs? What's going to happen? They're going to change it. It's not going to stay like this. All right. There's no way NASCAR keep their hands off of it. And so we'll see what happens in a couple years.
And to kind of continue unfortunately, the crown jewel conversation, I remember this one coming from social around Coke 600 weekend with Brickyard, now not being really a crown jewel race because it's non-existent, has Danny Hamlin therefore completed the crown.
Okay, what's the crown? Everybody has an opinion about it. Which
Right.
races are those races? So everybody, like Brad Keselowski would say, Night Bristol is one of those, whereas someone else might say that it's not, or the Southern 500 is or isn't. There's a couple people that don't have the Southern 500 on their list. So we need to first determine which are the races. Let's all just put that in concrete and make a choice. These are the races.
Who goes first?
It's Daytona.
You.
Daytona 500, World 600, Southern 500.
That's it for me.
I say now that the Brickyard's gone, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be just the 3.
I don't know that
one
the Brickyard.
more.
What? I mean, are you going to say
Am
the
I missing one?
Well,
No.
the Bristol Night Race? Are you going to make
Bristol
that
Night
up?
would be my borderline one, but I don't know.
See?
I think Crown Jewel doesn't need to be 4.
Right.
It could be 3. Why do we need 4?
Well, then it's easier to.
Why do we need 17 people
well,
in the
no,
chase?
but if it's
16
3,
people.
it's easier to accomplish. If it's if it's not 4.
We don't have to
Who
have
else has
everything.
won all
Doesn't have to
3?
be important.
Listen, to me, if you want to sit there and have a crown jewel conversation, what makes it is whether or not it could change in time, whether the race becomes bad or not. And that if Bristol Night Race is going to be good one year and bad the next year and this, that, and the other, then it wasn't a crown jewel in my opinion. The Southern 500, though, sort of stood the test of time. But you're right. There's people that wouldn't even know to consider that a big race today.
But if you're taking that into consideration, the Coke 600, this is the first year that it's been good in a hot minute.
Then maybe it's not even. I'm just saying.
Right.
Listen, if we go into your world of sprint cars and stuff, you got Chili Bowl.
Knoxville Nationals.
You got Knoxville Nationals. And there's just
Crown.
no question. I don't need to know whether the race was good or not. I don't need to know what kind of compound they put on a track. I don't need to know what the rules packages were. We just know that Chili Bowl's big, Knoxville National's big. If you want to get, that's just saying. There doesn't need to be this criteria that I got to contemplate every year.
Right.
If the Daytona race to me is really it for us.
Yeah.
It really is. Daytona, I don't have to know the result. I don't have to know anything to know that it's going to be a big deal. So, I know I'm also probably on an island on that idea, but
I was going to say maybe we can take that to social eventually on what the crown jewels are,
Yeah.
because a lot of folks are chiming in on the chat saying that they're 4, if they had to choose 4, are the 500, the World 600, the Southern 500, and Bristol Night. So everyone's been putting those
All right,
4.
everybody, y'all have just made the decision. Those are the 4. It is made. Let's write it concrete. Done. Good job. We've got it figured out.
Close the book.
After all, close it.
All
no
right.
more conversation. So
Book-
those are the 4.
and Watkins Glen.
Nope.
All right, next one here. Kind of changing the pace to the truck race. After watching the Carson host of our accident, what do you think about having some sort of signal light similar to what's used in road course races at the back glass to alert safety workers? Hazard lights to alert officials that you need help quickly, along with the window net lowered. And I think we can also group in the ideology of potentially having a safety crew that is specific to NASCAR that travels with NASCAR instead of doing localized stuff, because IndyCar has their own AMR team that goes to every race with them in comparison to NASCAR using localized staff.
Yeah. So this, what I saw at Indy this year was really incredible. We had a couple accidents. Not Brian Herter, but Herter's Colton Herter's crash in turn 2, and he comes sliding. He's upside down. I'm thinking, man, he can't get out with the halo and all that. He's stuck in there. That's terrifying. You don't ever want to be stuck in a car. But the corner workers were moving before the car stopped, so they're already pulling out of their little holes in the fence to get to him before he even came to a stop. And they were right on top of that car seconds later. And the other thing I saw as I was walking through the garage that morning to go to my first hit on TV, they had a blank tub IndyCar tub sitting in the garage, in the back of the garage, and there were about 25 AMR corner workers standing around it, and they were individually taking turns pulling a dummy out of the cockpit. And this is like 10 o'clock in the morning before the race starts. And they were like having drills, like you'd see, firemen having drills going up and down the tower. And I love that. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're a race car driver getting ready to go out there and compete, it's super dangerous. And you saw that in the back of your, back of the garage happening on race day morning. You're like, man, these people are on it. They're going to be, all that's going to be fresh on their memory if they're ever put in a scenario where they've got to rescue a driver, because they were practicing that morning. Not that this doesn't happen in NASCAR, I'm not sure. But I loved what I saw at Indy with their AMR crew. And the consistency, knowing that they're there every week and it's the same people, and their training is top notch. Their ability to get out on the racetrack, because they're working with the same tower week after week. They all understand each other's urgency and cadence, and they're communicating during the week back and forth with the race directors, working, tuning, fixing, and adjusting things, and getting to those drivers in the quickest possible manner. And they're setting the example, in my mind, that all motorsports should strive to be. And so, it's we got work to do. I think after we saw what we saw, we got a little work to do. And unfortunate that we have to go through the experience to realize that, right? But hopefully, I'm sure NASCAR is going to do whatever they can to not have a scenario like that play out again, and do a little better job of trying to get their guys out there to a crashed vehicle with an injured driver. I don't know what else needs to happen as far as flashing lights and all that good stuff. Injured drivers, are injured. They're, we can't rely on them to do anything special or unique to give us a signal. Hey man, I'm in trouble in here. But I'm sure there's some technology and so forth that we could look at to. I think the idea in my mind is the corner worker should be there as quick as possible, injured or not. The guy made contact with anything that, they make you contact is the only box that needs to get checked for them to be on top of that car when it's done crashing, right? And so I think they just got a little work to do about getting them out there a little quicker.
And last one here for this one's Ask Junior. This one comes from Chase Brisket, which I thought was humorous. It says, with your dad and Johnny Cash both so perfectly sharing the Man in Black nickname, did the two ever meet that you can recall?
I don't recall that, but very cool.
Chase Brisket. I love humorous names like that
I
on
did
social
too.
media.
That flub of a question was saved by the name.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. I wonder if Chase Briscoe heard our commentary from last week. He did respond.
He
on
responded,
social media.
yeah. He responded
That was
on Twitter.
Very funny.
What'd he say?
He had a GIF.
It was a
Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah, Jim Carrey, Dumb and Dumber,
where he's trying to get his head back in the limousine.
and he can't get his head back in. Awesome. Well, that is it for this week's Ask Junior.
All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all supporting our podcast. Part 2 of Jeremy Mayfield comes out later tonight. You guys are going to enjoy that. There's a couple of bombshells in that one as well. Part 1 was well received, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy this as well. Thanks to Xfinity and everything they do for us. And like I said, that Xfinity X5 is fast, reliable, secure. I can say that because I have experienced it.
And everybody watching this YouTube, don't forget that Xfinity provides Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed that all your devices need, including watching Ask Junior on YouTube. So thank you for doing that, and remember to keep the questions coming on @Xfinity Racing on Twitter.
All right, thank you to Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR. Boy, that's a mouthful. Y'all have fun. Have a good week.
And we are off YouTube.